So let's get the conversation going, tracking the markets around the world as we start the first business and markets day in the new year. It's not very rosy news for train commuters in the UK. They were hit this morning by 2.7% increase in rail fares. That is what you called mind the gap. So let's close the gap between Lagos and London as we speak to Juliana Olayinka, my colleague in our London studios at Cavendish Square. Good morning, Juliana. You've boarded the train. You've seen all that is on the ground. How are you folks in London taking this new increase in rail fare, or what you call rail transportation fares? What does it really mean moving forward? What are folks talking about on this? Good morning.
Good morning, both, and Happy New Year to you and our viewers. Well, look, this 2.7% rise in rail fare is definitely an unwanted New Year's present for commuters. It's something that rail commuters are used to. It typically happens on the first or second day of working every single year. And what's really hitting home is the fact that rail fares in the UK are much higher than they are across Europe. In fact, we are the highest. Just yesterday in Germany, rail fares were cut by 10%. So this 2.7 increase is really, in real terms, about £100 every year on annual price tickets. I think one of the biggest problems that commuters have is they're not happy with the service. There was a recent really big survey done with commuters, and 47% said they were really unhappy. Only about 2/3 of trains are ever on time. There's increased in the amount of people that are having the train. So yes, commuters are really unhappy. Of course, rail bosses have hit back at the typical shocking headlines that have come out. They said that, this rail fare increase of 2.7% is less than inflation, and it's less than the increase that it was last year. They said that they'll be putting in 1,000 new service times, so there'll be more trains coming on your regular service, and that they're trying to increase the service. So basically, when you go on the train, there'll be more carriages and more space for you. But commuters aren't happy. Labour have jumped on this because we know during the election campaign, Labour said that they wanted to part nationalise the rail service, and they said by doing that, that will allow them to reduce rail fare costs. And they also noted out that in the past 10 years, rail fares in the UK have increased by 40%. So that's a really big margin.
Yeah, very big margin. £100 a year? I could put that to some use if I get that here. I'm sure you can use that as well, Juliana. So is going driverless vehicles the way Scotland says is open for business? Do you see this as a game changer? Will Scotland beat England to it when it comes to driverless vehicles?
Well, we do know that Nicola Sturgeon, the Scottish First Minister, does want another vote on Scottish independence, but this doesn't have anything to do with an independent Scotland. This is really a government-focused initiative to make Britain and Britain's roads autonomous and, vehicle-free. Well, not vehicle-free, driverless-free. And they're using Scotland because they believe that Scotland and its strategic road network is the best place to try this. Over the past couple of years, they have been trying a lot more autonomous vehicles. And a recent Motor and Trade survey did say that by 2025, at least 50% of the cars that are going to be on British roads will have some sort of autonomous capacity to it. So they may not be driverless, but they'll definitely have some systems and some electronics that will allow drivers to take their hands off the steering wheel. So this year on Scottish roads, there's been £4.5 million that have been put in by the British government to try driverless buses. So these buses will be going on a certain path throughout Scotland, and they won't have a driver in them. They will be picking up passengers. And they have tried this before. It is very risky. Of course, it does have its critics, but it has been taking place across the world. And this is going to be the first time Britain will be trying it.
It's going to be a new world for me to get into a public bus without a driver. I still head scratch about this every time I hear about it. I'm not too sure. Hey, driver, I've got to stop over. Well, how does that I don't know. But maybe I'll get to Scotland one of these days, maybe in 2020, try and find out how it works with driverless buses. Of course, there'll be so many of us in it, so I don't have to worry so much. Okay, so let's talk about the marketplace. How are we starting off the first trading day in 2020 at the London Stock Exchange? And, of course, checking in with the pound sterling, two major markets in sharp focus for the Brexit, whose clock is ticking towards the 31st of this month. Juliana.
Well, the clock is ticking. We haven't discussed the B word yet, but I'm sure as soon as Parliament goes back into session, Brexit will be on the top of the agenda. But look, you know, the FTSE 100 has started 61 points higher. So the first trading day of the year, the first trading day of the decade in London is off to a really good start. What seems to be pushing that, of course, is US-China trade talks that dominated 2019, likely to dominate 2020, at least in the next couple of weeks, because Donald Trump, the US President, and China have agreed to set out phase one of trying to ease these trade talks. The equities market really likes that. And the knock-on effect is that sterling at the moment is 0.23% down against the dollar. We do have our first set of Purchasing Manager Index numbers, those PMI figures that look at just how healthy the British economy is. The first one that we have in due in any time now is manufacturing. So we'll see how manufacturing was likely to look at in December. At the moment, it was below that 50 mark, 50 being anything below 50 being a level of contraction. So we'll see just how the manufacturing industry is going, and then we'll tee off to the rest of the British GDP economy.
I'm sure after today, we'll have a lot more to talk about from the political class and the Brexit drivers, from 10 Downing Street all the way to the Parliament. So let's take that drive together tomorrow, Friday. Then we can lay off and enjoy the first weekend in the new year. Thank you so much, Juliana. You'll be sharing your afternoon belt with Chimezie Obiwago at 1:30 in the afternoon. Don't miss that. You never missed it anyway, by the way. See you then. Okay, I'll be watching from the newsroom. Let's move on after the break, everyone. The folks at United Capital, the listed investment bank, believes that Nigeria's stock market will grow about 5.3% positive as a base case for the new year starting today. We're asking Wale Lucy some more questions about this when we come back.